What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Raptors Report. It's time to talk about Pascal Siakam. There have been several rumors linking different teams to Pascal Siakam, and there's also been a little bit of a rumor discussing his contract situation with the Toronto Raptors. So I will be breaking that down in today's video. So if you're ready to watch, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you wish to hit the subscribe button as well, that'd be very much appreciated. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to QBF Baby 7433. So I know I totally probably mispronounced that, but thank you so much for supporting this channel. Your likes and comments is very much appreciated. And let's talk about the latest rumor that came out today, and it was being reported that Hawks, Pacers, Mavericks are viewed, as the most likely teams to pursue Pascal Siakam. According to Michael Grange of Sportsnet, Atlanta and Indiana have maintained interest in Siakam since the summer. So this article pretty much went on to state the franchise was truly split on 50-50 on whether or not to trade Siakam, especially since the All-Star big man had made it clear that he wanted to be part of the Toronto's long-term plans. Still, though, no progress has been made in contract negotiations. The Raptors are a tough team to deal with. Ujiri and this front office have maintained high standards when it comes to the trade deadline, which is why there are some rival teams who feel as if the Raptors look to take advantage of them. First of all, that team is always setting the price extremely high on their players, sometimes to the point that makes you laugh. One Eastern Conference executive shared with Clutch Points, obviously you want to always try and get the most for your players. That's the nature of the game. At some point, you have to be willing to budge and actually negotiate instead of saying, this is our price, take it or leave it. Over the years, everything you seemed pretty one-sided when talking trades with them. So let's quickly address that last part of the paragraph. First of all, I know a lot of teams feel like the Raptors are, and a lot of fan bases, I'm sure, feel like the Raptors are a difficult team to deal with, in particular Masai Ujiri. But you have to remember that the Raptors and Toronto in particular is a great city, but they're not like the LA or the New Yorks where they can attract any free agent. And some of these players that they've been trying to trade, obviously OG is now gone, but Pascal Siakam, think of it this way: as a farmer, you put in a lot of effort into watering your plants, throwing the seeds and slowly growing your crops over the years and maintaining them and all the effort that goes into them. Then you have a customer that comes in and tries to really bid the price lower than what it might actually be worth. So that is pretty much what the Toronto Raptors are in a position of. They're not going to be getting players through free agency. And if they are going to be trading their own players that they have maintained and slowly developed all these years, they are obviously going to be asking for a good price. Again, I want to remind people that you don't just trade players for the sake of trading them, especially not when you're the Toronto Raptors. They took years building up Pascal Siakam. And look, this isn't like a role player we're talking of. We're talking about Pascal Siakam, someone who can give you 27 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal a game, and he can do so many things on the offensive side. This is someone that can score in the paint, someone that can hit jump shots. This is someone that can pass as well as rebound. And strictly speaking, even where the NBA is now, when you think about how forwards in particular and even power forwards are able to do so many things, Pascal Siakam is still elite at so many good things. So I think if you are to trade Pascal Siakam, you do want good returns. You don't just want to trade him for a couple role players and 1 or 2 first-round picks. You want something that's going to be a nice pick. Pretty much essentially what the Raptors did with Og Anunoby when they traded him to New York. You got a good young player in Emmanuel Quickley. You also got, look, don't get me wrong, RJ Barrett is very good as well, but Emmanuel Quickley was a prize there. And then you got a second-round pick as well, which honestly I feel like you probably could have squeezed a first-round pick, but look, it is a good price for the Raptors as well, right? So when teams say that, Masai Ujiri isn't going to just trade players for the sake of it and the price is extremely high, you also look at trades like Kyle Lowry. You got Goran Dragic, you got Precious, who was supposed to be the prize of that trade. Yet we saw what happened with Goran, and now Precious Achiuwa is now on the New York Knicks and looks like a fringe role player at the very best, right? So that's why when teams do trades, you obviously want to trade for good young players, yes, but you also want some sort of assurance in the form of at least 1 first-round pick. So again, Pascal Siakam is very valuable, and teams need to realize that, right? Like if you're trading Pascal, it's not just a 1 young player, 1 first-round pick, and bench player. So again, it's going to be interesting as we lead to the NBA trade deadline and to see if the Raptors actually do trade Pascal Siakam. But I do want to address some of the other teams as well as some of the rumors. Now, it's also being reported Pascal Siakam, if traded, is unlikely to sign a 2-year extension with the team and would prefer to enter free agency to gain ultimate control, according to Mark Stein. Now, I see a lot of fans getting upset at this, but ask yourself one question. A player that is going to be 30 years old well, why would he sign a 2-year contract with the team he just gets traded to? Why would you not want to settle for a 4 or 5 year contract? Now, I see a lot of people saying, well, this is bad for the Raptors. This is bad from a fan's point of view as well, because this makes it really challenging to trade Pascal Siakam to another team when he's constantly saying things like this. But if you're a team, like the reported teams, like the Indiana Pacers, like the Dallas Mavericks, when you're trading for Pascal Siakam, you know you're in a good situation because he's providing something you desperately need, a power forward that can score for you, that can play defense, that can pass the ball fairly well. And this is a player, when you realistically think about it, you'll have his bird rights. And the likelihood that he leaves for a team that's going to offer him more money isn't happening, because the teams that have a lot of money are teams like the Detroit Pistons, who, let's be honest, Pascal Siakam isn't going to go into that situation, and the Utah Jazz as well, and similar teams. They're bottom of the conference teams, and I just don't see Pascal Siakam leaving a situation like that. So I think those teams do need to keep in mind that, certain situations, and also just given when you think about it from a player's point of view. I remember Serge Ibaka saying he would love to be back with the Toronto Raptors. That is what he had been saying the entire season. Free agency came, and rightfully so. It was ultimately the best decision for the Raptors. They decided him not to bring him back because he was asking for more money. So I think from a player's point of view, you have to play this in an intelligent way where you keep your cards close to you and don't necessarily reveal your long-term plans. Kind of how Kawhi did, and you play the situation and you ultimately select the best situation for yourself. So I don't think it's bad as fans are making it out to be. From a fan's point of view, from a team's point of view, yes, it sucks because you're trying to trade him. But from a player's point of view, this is very smart as well. Let's address the next rumor here. And it's quite interesting, some of the teams that we're hearing being linked to Pascal Siakam. Now I'm going to address both these rumors because Legion Reports was reporting the Mavericks' offer for Pascal Siakam could be a package surrounding Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, and draft picks for James Weinbach. Now, first thing I want to say is Tim Hardaway Jr. would be a really solid role player. Josh Green is good as well. But I was talking to some of the Dallas Mavericks fans, and I actually had responded to this saying, if the Dallas Mavericks are doing a trade with the Toronto Raptors, a starting package should look like Josh Green and Jaden Hardy. And a lot of Dallas Mavericks fans were actually saying, take that right away. Now, obviously, they're not giving up Derek Lively for those who may suggest that, if the Raptors are going to trade him there. But I just don't see a deal happening with the Dallas Mavericks for that reason. As much as I may like Josh Green and Jaden Hardy, I just don't see it happening. Like when you look at Pascal Siakam, again, there's a lot of uncertainty with guys like Josh Green and Jaden Hardy. And these are actually two players that I've followed very, very closely for the last year or so. They look spectacular when they're starting. When they're on the bench, they look like good role players, and that's it. I know both of them are very young and very good contracts as well. But again, if you're not starting, right, that becomes a difficult thing with a lot of young players. They're not producing at the same level. So I mean, that's the whole point, right? It becomes challenging. They're good young players, and I'd love to have them on the Raptors, but I just don't think the Mavericks have what it takes to acquire Pascal Siakam. And I personally just think from when you look at teams that are desperate to really get Pascal, I just don't see Dallas being there compared to some of the other teams I'll address next. So again, realistically speaking, I don't think the Raptors will do a deal with the Dallas Mavericks unless Derek Lively is included in that deal. But again, we'll see what happens. Let's talk about the next two teams here. And these are two teams that have been rumored and been linked to Pascal Siakam this entire season. So it's being reported by Ian Begley that Indiana is among the teams that has consistently shown interest in Siakam. Executives in touch with Toronto at the G League Showcase in Orlando said the club seemed to be open to moving Siakam by 2024 trade deadline. Now, first thing I want to say is Atlanta was also mentioned as well. The asking price reportedly was 2 young players and 2 first-round picks for Pascal Siakam, but that was also what was being reported for Og Anunoby as well. I don't necessarily think the Raptors will get 2 young players. I think the likelihood that you get 1 good, really young player, kind of similar to what you got with Og Anunoby, you get a first-round pick, and then you get a couple role players to fill the salary as well. Again, I'm trying not to be a biased Raptors fan. Realistically speaking, from those 2 teams, it could be interesting. Obviously, the Pacers have some interesting pieces in Jarris Wallace, Benedict Mathurin. They also have some first-round picks they can throw in there. And then the Atlanta Hawks, they're very interesting because they're trying to get rid of DeJounte Murray. But there's been reports out there that if they do acquire Pascal Siakam, they may just keep DeJounte Murray. Now, in terms of the Atlanta Hawks, obviously there's names like Kobe Buffkin. There's guys like Onyeka Okongwu, who reportedly the Raptors really wanted in the offseason, but ultimately the Hawks didn't want to give him up. They also didn't want to give up Kobe Buffkin. The offer, I believe, was AJ Griffin, DeAndre Hunter, and draft capital as well. So again, it'll be interesting. I don't think the Atlanta Hawks personally gave up someone like Jalen Johnson. And as much as I like him, I mean, from a Raptors fan point of view, and even from a Raptors management, you're trying to acquire assets, yes, but is that is that really what you want? You want someone really at the small forward, power forward position, which is kind of similar to what Scotty Barnes is playing at the power forward position. I just think their games don't necessarily complement each other. Again, if you're trading Pascal Siakam, I think you want more shooters. And with respect to Jalen, he's having a breakout season. I just don't know if, I mean, not to say he isn't a really good player, but I just don't know if it makes sense for the Raptors to acquire him, especially given where they are with Jakob Poeltl, who can't shoot threes as well either. So again, it'll be very interesting to see, and I'll make more videos about trade rumors and even trades as well leading up to the NBA trade deadline. I just don't think the Raptors ultimately will trade Pascal Siakam. What they're looking for and what Pascal Siakam provides to the Raptors and how valuable he is to the Raptors, I don't think the Raptors will get what they're asking for. I mean, if they do, I'm sure they'll jump on the opportunity to trade him. But I think the Pascal Siakam trade rumors are going to slowly, we'll hear a lot about it, but I don't think there's going to be anything that actually comes to fruition. So I think the Raptors ultimately will end up keeping Pascal. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about these rumors. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And that trivia question is, with RJ Barrett now being on the Toronto Raptors, how many Canadian players have played for the Raptors? Is it A sixth? Is it B ninth? Is it C eighth? Or is it D seventh? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you're still watching, hit the subscribe button. We're about I believe we're about 6 subscribers away from hitting the 400 mark. So it'll be really cool. I believe, I can't even remember how many exactly subscribers I have, but 3,400 would be the exact mark we would have if we got only 6 of you guys to hit the subscribe button. So that'd be very much appreciated, guys. Thank you once again. And I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.